Welcome back to the last game of the day here on the B stream at the Manchester Major. FaZe versus Liquid. It's such a storied showdown as well. I was looking back at the history of this. FaZe have won this matchup 17 times. Yep. Liquid have won it 19 times. Nearly got you on that one. That's nearly 40 times they've played each other, Tim. All the way back to 2018. Beautiful way to end the day.
And it's pretty close, really. 19 to 17. It's not a huge advantage for anybody, is it? What it does tell us is these are two teams that know each other unbelievably well. They're going to come in here knowing exactly what to expect. Both of them taking a loss earlier will want that one-on-one record. They don't want to be moving on to eliminations, and it's going to be hard fought.
It's going to have to be as well. Again, some really storied players across both of these teams as well. FaZe, as we all saw recently, for narrowly falling in the SI Grand Final. Liquid, what more do you say about them? Nesk, Palu, two players that are more storied than arguably the whole game itself. And to have them both down here in 0-1 feels very strange for a day one, but what's even scarier is that one of them will be 0-2. I'm pretty sure in every prediction set out there, Tim, people had FaZe going 3-0 in this phase. So far, the 0-1 after this game, it could be 0-2, and that is a terrifying thought.
Of course, FaZe having a tough game already today against Team Secret, taking that loss earlier on. I think, you know, it's probably fair to say a few people might have been a little bit surprised by that. Not me, I said that Secret would win, you know, I did mention that. But seriously, you know, this is a team that, as you said, only, you know, very recently were in the SI Grand Final, took it all the way to the 5th map, very nearly won the thing. We're within one round of winning the thing. You know, unbelievable performance from them, and then come in and, you know, struggle against an EUL side that's, I won't say finding its feet, but it's a reasonably new roster coming in here, you know, first time as a roster at LAN, and got a great result against FaZe. You know, deserve all the credit that they take for it, but FaZe certainly won't have been expecting necessarily to be playing in this 0-1-1 bracket.
And I thought Liquid equally were, you know, I won't say unlucky, but they were close earlier on. They lost 8-6 on Night Haven Labs to M80. And that game itself, again, was super back and forth, super close ultimately. And ironically, Cameraman, who kind of dealt them that loss, of course, himself a former player on quite a few teams, mainly FaZe over in Brazil. So a little bit of kind of a haunting from Ghost Pass over there. So for both teams, looking to reset expectations in this game again. Both had both have really good games earlier. Both lost a very worthy competition, I think. But these are two teams that many would expect to see in the top 8 bracket for a major like this, Tim.
We can see there that Liquid have got the ducks out on the desk. We've seen those a few times. Lagonis has got his Loch Ness Monster as well. If you're wondering why there's a Loch Ness Monster there, that's because it's at Lagonis' desk. And yeah, I think, you know, ultimately...
He did tell us the story of that, didn't he, once?
Yeah.
We did like a little podcast thing back when we used to be in Paris, and he came on as a guest, and we asked him for the whole story, and I forget what the story was now. It's a couple of years ago.
I've spoken to him about it a couple of times. There we go, nice little close-up shot there. So it's, you'll excuse me for being partly wrong in this, but it's, his name comes from, I think the first half is like, from the Portuguese of lake, and that's where it relates to like Loch Ness and that sort of stuff. And then part of it is one of his old friends' names. He like took part of that and kind of smushed it together. But yeah, he just has an interest,
like Loch Ness.
He just has an interest then in Loch Ness Monster, and that's where it came. It sort of came about in when I was casting Brazil back in 2020. We did an interview with him, and we kind of saw it at the end of the shot. Like we cut away from it, and I said to Jackie at the time, I said, "Was that Loch Ness Monster?" And I didn't know if it was like, you know, because you get myths that'll like crop up around the world in different cultures, but in slightly different forms. But things like, you know, yetis and abominable monsters, you know, snow monsters and things like that will crop up in different areas of the world in slightly different ways, but with a lot of similarities. And I didn't know if it was maybe something like that, that was maybe a similar thing in Brazil that was like kind of this, you know, monster living in this lake, and they don't know if it's there, don't know if it's not. So we asked him about it, and he said, no, it's Loch Ness, and he got very enthusiastic about it. So yeah, it's absolutely the Loch Ness Monster.
Of all things to be obsessed with, the Loch Ness Monster is not one that I'd normally have on my list, but you know what? Fair play to him in that case. Of course, other changes we've seen them make before the stage coming in. Maya, of course, a name that we were very hot on last year, formerly of Los. Obviously had a bit of a change around in that team, a little bit of a scrambling of things. And Maya, for me, was one of the up-and-coming prospects last year. Unbelievable player on that former team, arguably their star player. And I think him being on Liquid now, many look towards the squad and say, hey, it's about high time that you guys are one of the best in the world. And obviously not quite starting with the campaign they'd hoped for here, but again, that could potentially change here as we go into our last game of the day. FaZe themselves also looking pretty chilled out. It is late here, let's not forget as well. So we're knocking on the doors of what, nearly 11 o'clock, 20 to 11. So the teams are going to have felt it. It's been a grueling day for some of them, going through those losses as well, the highs and lows that come with that, the prep that comes into it, you know, to then have to play at the very end of the day as well. I think, honestly, whichever team comes out the gate raring and ready to go, the most warmed up, that'll be where we see the difference in this game.
Yeah, I mean, all of these players have, you know, they've been around enough of these tournaments to be aware of that and how to deal with it. You know, I'm sure there was probably maybe a slightly later night last night and a lie-in this morning, much like we did, Des, knowing that we were working late. You stay up late and then you get up late and you kind of just shift that sleeping pattern by a couple of hours so that we can bring you all the energy that you deserve for a game like this at 20 to 11 at night. Not too much of a problem. I always love group phases and Swiss phases because, like, the first day is always kind of chaotic and you've always got like an awful lot going on. It's usually a long day and you're trying to keep up with all these different matches going on. But let's keep up with our map bans that are going on. We've got our location coming our way. FaZe versus Liquid. We take out Chalet, Cafe, Border, Oregon.
And looking on why for those as well. For Cafe, it's the permaban coming out from Liquid. Oregon is a map that FaZe have got a wicked record on. 6-1 on that map. It has to go away. And Nighthaven Labs, I think that kind of comes as a little bit of a... Well, I'm not really surprised. That is actually FaZe's most preferred map where they've seen the most success. So one band targeting away their own permaban, the next two then have basically said to FaZe, you don't get to play your favourite map, sorry. Ooh,
I was kind of looking forward to a Clubhouse. So FaZe and Liquid have got a bit of a history on Clubhouse. There's been some pretty heated encounters across the years between the two of them on Clubhouse. But that one's going to go by the wayside. Bank gets taken out. So pretty much the same options that we had for PSG Talon versus E1 in the last game. It came down to Bank and Consulate, except this time we're going to go to Consulate, which I'm quite happy with. I enjoy watching Consulate. It's one of my favourite maps to watch and cast at the minute.
Cast it with Doki earlier. It was great fun.
We did, yeah. We do enjoy a little bit of Consulate. So we're going to head there to decide who goes through to the 1 and 1 bracket and who goes through to the 0 and 2 bracket. We've got FaZe, we've got Liquid, and we could have a hell of a game
on our hands. You got to throw in the end of that.
That's where we love them. That's where we love them.
On our hands. How heavy is a game though? Is it like hand crushing weight, do you think, or just, you know, you can bounce it around? It's like quite easy to hold.
I think it probably depends how you know, how good it is, or, you know, what are the stakes. This one I'd say is probably a decent weight to it.
Like medicine ball type kind of weight?
Well, medicine balls can be different weights, can't they?
That is true.
You're kind of giving me a moving target there.
Yeah, but I'm more thinking more around the kind of use case for a medicine ball. Like for rehabilitation, they're designed to have a bit of weight behind them. It's kind of the point.
Yeah.
So I'd say, yeah, I don't care what the weight is. I'm going to say it's a medicine ball anyway. Deimos going to be our first band coming out here. We spoke about this a little bit with Doki when we had the TriCast earlier on today. Can open up a lot of vertical lines of sight himself, very good at going through soft destruction. So him being taken away in conjunction with that gadget, just really good as an operator to take off the board. The Dekebi needs no introduction. We've seen her banned away for months and months and months and months and months now. Incredibly oppressive around the map. Those dial phones just calling through to everyone on the map. Really makes life a bit obnoxious to play as a defender. Castle, an interesting band coming out.
Yeah, we don't see too much Castle.
You see him on very specific maps, and I don't really think of this map as one where you'd see him. And if nothing else, the reason he's got stronger lately is now he has the magnified scope, the ACOG in essence. So he can do an awful lot with the UMP. It might not do a lot of damage, but you can hit some nasty headshots with it. And then our final band coming out, I think will surprise no one. It is the Fenrir, incredibly oppressive right now. Removed off the board and taken away as well.
Yeah, Fenrir particularly powerful on Consulate because there's some sort of well-trodden avenues that it's
very kind of bottlenecky as a map as well.
There's some well-trodden paths that people like to follow. So, for example, put an FNAT at the top of Yellow Stairs where it comes through towards CEO. People are going to try to push through there. You put an FNAT, for example, you can put an FNAT at the top of Visa Stairs. There's just a column between Visa Stairs and where you would head round to admin. You can put one on there, you can put one outside copy door, and you've just made it very difficult for anybody to head out of admin, up Visa Stairs, to head across that corridor at all. You play from vending machine, you're going to be able to do some serious damage. You could get an FNAT at the top of Spiral Stairs, for example. You know, there's so many places, like you say, that you can really cut off those bottlenecks. That Fenrir is super powerful, and that it's not just on this site. You go down into the basement, you've got your Yellow Stairs area, you can cut off Spiral Stairs at the bottom of that. If anybody tries to come down, you can, you know, worry about your archive side, get that FNAT'd off. There's so many options with Fenrir, no surprises to see him go.
Arguably the advantage that you might see coming out here for the side of FaZe is that Liquid players has played this map quite recently against GK. In fact, just a couple of days ago. So that's the one I'm looking at there and thinking, okay, then there's probably some damage to be done based on what you can analyse from that game. A couple of days to prep for it. No doubt the coaches and the analysts would have been in overtime trying to get themselves ready for this. But really on the other side of things, it's a little bit of a blind map coming in for FaZe themselves, or sorry, for Liquid themselves. They haven't got much to go on. In fact, the last time that we saw FaZe play this map was against E1 35 days ago in stage play. Very different to play it online, of course, not forgetting that as well. But again, I think for me, at least when it comes to the map, this is where I give FaZe a slight advantage. But more than anything else, like I said in the pre-game, it's about who comes in hot here as well. It's been a long day for both of these teams. You really have to be firing on all cylinders, and Nesk wasn't at least in the entry. Cyber's going to find him for free here. And a second as well. Timing on the impact was beautiful.
That already has me worrying a little bit for Liquid there. Ness comes in absolutely fine, tries to get a quick fight with Cyber, loses it. It happens, no problem. Maya just following in through that window when Cyber's already picked one up into bathroom not 5 seconds before. I think you're asking for trouble there, and he gets exactly what he's asked for. Cyber picking himself up a double to kick things off, and that is a great start for FaZe.
But I feel like we're kind of going back over trodden ground as well from our series earlier. But the Ram and the Buck were a very common combination in that game. We'd often see one being taken out before the other and then asking the question, okay then, is it the end of the world? They still have another available. The difficulty with the Ram, of course, yes, you've got the secondary shotgun, but you've only got 3 of those gadgets, 3 of those boogies to make use of to start making a move across the dance floor, getting things ripped up, whereas the Buck has a lot more flexibility in that regard.
Given that they're defending down in the basement as well, FaZe have just got so much flexibility now in a 5 versus 3. They can leave Cyber out on the roam. He can keep, you know, making things difficult for those players who are trying to get Piano and Exposition control. Lagonis trying to peek around this corner, but easily dealt with there, and it ends up with a flawless round as 3 kills come in quick succession, and that is going to be FaZe picking up 1-0, and Liquid are going to need to wake up quickly.
Like I say, if you come into this game a little bit sleepy, you've sort of let the day wear on, the adrenaline's dropped off, you haven't got yourself back and warmed up for this game, it's going to bite. It probably sounds silly saying that, oh, you're playing 2 games of Siege a day, like, well done, I sit at home and play ranked 8 hours a day, whatever it might be. More than anything else, it's everything surrounding the game. And when I was talking about like adrenaline, for example, you get yourself amped up for a game. You've got your pre-game rituals, maybe your warm-ups that you go through, the sort of briefing session on the team that you're about to play. After the game, you get some food, you feel a bit lethargic after that. The day does take a toll on you.
There's a lot that goes into it.
There is, yeah, a lot more than you think than just playing the game itself. And so if FaZe come into this hot, like we sort of said, and they showed it in round 1, absolutely cleaning up Liquid, Cyber especially. 3 kills to his name, and Liquid not really showing any bites in the round itself. This could be 2, 3, 4 rounds before you know it, and only then do Liquid actually start getting themselves into the game.
Yeah, it's definitely, you know, a part of it is, you know, which team can manage that best. Coming in, playing earlier on in the day, and then you're just sitting around, even if you know, go back and you sat down chilling, you're practicing, you're prepping, whatever you're doing, you know, it's an awful lot of time to manage your energy, and it's kind of a roller coaster of a day these days where you've got a couple of games, a break in between. It's definitely something that you need to get used to, and we will see who comes out best from it here. So first round going to FaZe on the defense. They are going to move on this time into Piano and Exposition, so we can see all those holes opened up for the verticals. They're going to be holding on from above. They've got a number of players playing upstairs, much the same as we saw earlier on in the game that we cast on this map. And they're going to try to hold on to this ground for as long as possible. They've got 4 above at the minute.
And if you're wondering why we're having so much of a hold upstairs and only 1 player on site itself, there's kind of a philosophy to how you defend sites in Siege. If you can't play in the room itself, you have 2 choices. You either play above it, or you play laterally. You play the perimeter rooms and look to kind of deny space inside the site itself. Things like mirror are then very, very good. So as an example on this map, you might play mirror around the lobby area with mirror windows looking in towards site. The problem with that being lobby also isn't a very good area to hold. So the last option you've really got then is to move upstairs and play it above. That does mean essentially that they have to make sure they've got some threat on site itself, mainly coming in from above, but there's always these cheeky little spots that you can get away with tucking in and getting a plant down, especially on the side of reinforcements and things like that as well. So for Liquid, their main objective is going to be, can we force the members of FaZe off this top floor, secure even a couple of the vertical angles ourselves, and then plant safely below? That's all good, but you've also then got to worry about clearing out the mirror that's playing on sites itself. So a few problems that you're going to have to see Liquid work through in this round, and so far, not really applied any pressure. You have got Parlo underneath though, which is quite an interesting take here. So kind of like turning the vertical against it by working from below rather than above.
Yeah, really good there. What Parlo's done is just chase KDS into the lines of sight for Nesk, and he's been able to pick up that kill. So that actually means that sight is clear at this point. But without those verticals, it's going to be very, very difficult for Liquid to necessarily use that space. They may well try, as you say, to go in under the cover of smokes, under the cover of just finding somewhere that doesn't have a vertical angle onto it. If they've had the drones in there, maybe they're confident that they've got a little bit of space that they can find to try and put this diffuser down.
That's it. Of course, you've got to worry about the Warden if you are going to make use of those smokes, but I feel like Lagonis really is the linchpin here. He's the one that they've got eyes on. And sure enough, plant's going down. C4 came out ready, going to get in and get rid of one. It gets rid of resets, but the plant is still going down, and at that same time, they're using the Grim to deny the vertical angles. They're shooting upwards as well to contest. A really good start coming out from Liquid here. Still got the Monty on side, and like with the clash, as we commented earlier, Tim, the lower the numbers start to fall in this game, the more effective those shield operators become.
Yeah, absolutely. Saber having a good game so far, 4-0, but he's going to need to pick up another couple of kills at least if they want to be able to do anything about this. If they could get to 3 versus 1 here with just the Monty left to deal with, then FaZe can absolutely do this, but they are running out of time. That's the first that they needed, but Ness is there. Handy gets him, and now in a 2v1, they should be able to deal with it. Do they get on the diffuser? Yes! Souls is already there. He's picking it up. A 4K wins the round for FaZe, and they go 2-0. That is going to hit Liquid hard. It's a round they should have been able to lock down.
I mean, there's 3 players there, all hanging around lobby, and Handy has taken every single one. Real pain, like, as I said, it gets even more frustrating because he was essentially in a 1 versus 3. Souls had to worry about the diffuser because they made that end of round play with only 20 seconds left on the clock. Souls can't really afford to charge over and get involved in the gunfights, pick up a kill or 2 maybe, and then get back over to the diffuser. He's got to go straight for it. So massive props towards Handy there, making full use of the sort of expectation, I think, on Liquid's side that with 20 seconds to go, there'd be a Hail Mary diffuse attempt coming on through. They were correct, but they didn't also expect at the same time to find Handy working his way around them and killing all 3 in the back line. Beautiful stuff.
Moving into round 3 then, FaZe coming out with a solid start so far. Liquid, they better find something soon. As I said, they really don't want to find themselves too far behind here. The Liquid that we covered in the G2 game, they looked sharper, Des. They looked like they were just on better form than this. And then from what we've seen of them today, it hasn't necessarily been up to that same standard. And again, Liquid just seeming to struggle with that consistency of performance. And this time, in this round, they're going to be attacking onto the top floor. I want to see them from multiple avenues here, not just pushing one side. We don't just want to see it all from yellow stairs, for example. We need somebody on that meeting breach or on connector window, maybe somebody on CEO window, depending where they're looking for the plant. Top spiral, admin. Think about a number of these locations.
What I will give to all of that as well is actually, again, really like the strategy coming out of Liquid. Very smart. They got the diffuser down. It only crumbled towards the end of the round. So I think we've seen them at least strategically and tactically, they're there. They've got the right ideas in their mind. But now it comes down to being able to hit your shots because, as we so often say, the beauty of Siege often comes into the strategic play that you see, the interaction of operators and gadgets and how they work together or against each other. But it's still at its heart an FPS. You've still got to win your gunfights if you want to see a round being won out. And unfortunately, they just couldn't get that done there. However, it does show promising signs of life that we might see that change in this round or in the next. You've got Parley below on the Buck, probably the most signature operator that he's got as a player. His history throughout the game, Buck has always been somewhere in his arsenal.
Parley's position here screams the CEO window plant for me. You get the Buck underneath. When the time comes, he's going to clear out the floor around the back of the desk.
And they've got Graham, they've got Lion.
Exactly that area. Thank you very much. He's going to clear out that area so that nobody can play it. There you go. He's going to do it now. So nobody can play in behind that desk. He's going to clear out this army, watch the hatch, and he's there to prevent anybody going underneath and using those verticals, using a nitro, anything like that. So now you need to get yourself stacked up. One potentially on connector window, but certainly one on CEO window. Get the diffuser there and all collapse into sight at the same time, and that's exactly what's going to happen here. Lagonis has the diffuser in hand. They're going to be held back for the time being by that Toxic Babe canister. Maya is using those bees cleverly. You play them on the edge of the half wall there, and what that does is it prevents anybody swinging, or at least that's the intention. Now then, in through the window goes Nesk, walks into meeting, in, picks up an absolute freebie, and surely that's going to be the opportunity for Liquid to get themselves on in here, because FaZe are going to have to turn away from that window, and that's what happens. Lagonis is getting the diffuser down. He's going to stick it. The Nitro misses. 4 versus 4. They can hold this from outside now, Des.
They've got enough going on, yeah, and they've managed to also bring down most of the members of FaZe. Only Souls left on side. It looked like it was going to crumble, and crumble it has. Honestly, Tim, if I'm Vita King there, I'm fuming at my team. They're all still on their feet. I'm the one denying the plant spot with these smokes. Yet, what are they even watching? The fact that he can get himself inside a window, charge in towards, well, not sight, but in towards meeting, and bring down the only real method they had of denying that plant going down is, I don't know, almost unforgivable. But a great backstab coming in, great use of the Amaru as well. Every single player having his part in that round from Liquid, and now they're on the board, Tim. There's a game in our hands.
Yeah, great checklist attack there from Liquid. You know, understood the steps that they needed to take in order to get that down and had everything in place. Buck underneath, clear out the Azami, Grim Bees onto the wall, in for the plant, but also the beautiful addition of that Amaru in through the window. That's opportunity spot in there. There's nobody over on the admin side. There's nobody playing vending. They are going to have no idea that we're going to just walk into meeting and pick up freebies. And that was a big mistake from FaZe there. You cannot allow that to happen, and it was brilliant really. Liquid make a load of noise. They actually scream at FaZe, "We're doing the CEO window plant, we're doing the CEO window plant," just so that Ness can walk in and get that for free, and it's absolutely brilliant stuff. Really well played from Liquid. Nice attack.
It was wonderful stuff. Now we'll see if they can repeat it going into round 4. Cybers had a good first couple of rounds. We saw him getting a couple of kills on the board, especially in that first with the 3K he collected. A little bit quiet since then. And as the entry, you want to see him being the one that's going to be a little bit disruptive, cause a little bit of bother. Also worth noting as well, we do also have the A stream on the go. If you're here on the B stream, I'm pretty sure you're aware of that. But there we've got BDS versus SSG, where currently it stands at 4-3 to BDS. In fact, going to find itself being 4-4. So their game's nice and tight. This one looking to probably go the same sort of level. So in all, again, right down to the final hour. Games just being close today, Tim. We've had 2 overtime games ourselves out of the 3 we've done so far.
Honestly, I haven't done the stats, and it's not quite fair because obviously I've casted FaZe 1, but I mean, I kept up our side of the bargain through FaZe 1, even without you here.
Oh yeah? How many did you get?
Did, I think, at least 3 maps of overtime.
We might be about to meet that on day 1,
maybe more. So I think I'm definitely at the highest round count for a caster so far.
It's unreal, isn't it? We'll find out once we get to the end of that what that looks like for this one. Right, Nesk's found himself put in the dirt by Vita King as well early on the alibi. Fantastic roamer, of course, incredibly quick ability to open up rotates, and also has that prox alarm to feed information to the team when the attacks start marching on forwards. But has got himself back through, reinforced off, and that now leaves Liquid pushing in on the east side of things here with FaZe at least coming out mainly towards the west.
Yeah, I think Nesk a couple of times now just losing himself very, very quickly in the round. Obviously going in, trying to get that entry. We saw him playing really well earlier on today, getting plenty of multi-kills, but it just isn't really happening for him here overall. Good play on the Amaru in the last round, but has been ineffective in this one. However, Liquid are taking some good ground here. They're pushing themselves forward now. There could be an opportunity for Maya here if he gets aggressive enough to catch them rotating back down spiral stairs, but he's actually dropped right back out of that, trying to go and play a little bit more directly with his Monty, but resets his lost elsewhere to Handy, and it's not looking great right now. The repositioning from Maya there was to actually deal with the mirror window. Palu being careful here, sees his man, but Souls manages to pick up Maya. That's not like Palu to miss those shots onto KDS, and it's another flawless round coming out for FaZe.
Just, they lose the entry, it feels, in some of these rounds, and everything falls apart from there for Liquid. And I don't know if it's we've lost our point man, we've lost a key part of our attack or our plan, therefore we've got to rethink things, and they're just a little bit too slow at doing that element of it. But they do crumble when they lose this entry, and that's what's starting to become a little bit of a concern. I know they found one round where they managed to convert things over, but it's more of just we've got to be able to deal with this early round aggression. You're playing a slow comp, you're running in behind a Monty, for example. We've seen it work once, we've seen it not work the next time around. but just lacking that composure still, I feel, from Liquid. That's what I want to see developed here in round 5, because FaZe are already starting to build up a good lead here on this defensive side.
Yeah, they're getting really comfortable. Heading back to Piano and Exposition this time, it was, again, a site that they were able to deal with last time. It did come down to a big moment from Handy at the end of it, to be honest. They had to get in there and get a couple of kills in that 2v2, and it wasn't easy. So I think Liquid can come in here with a bit of confidence. If they can get round 5 here, they go 3-2 on the attacking half. It's not the end of the world if it finishes 4-2 before they switch on for the defense.
I'm reloading.
They just then need to make sure that they have a really solid start to that second half.
This is going to be a change in attack as well. You've seen that blitz on side. Of course, it was the Monty last time around that they used to navigate his way in towards side, get the diffuser down with it on his back. The blitz can do the same, but that's not why you bring a blitz. You'd rather bring a Monty in that case. This comp, to me, if nothing else, screams that they want vertical control. They want to get Lagonis in a good power position, probably top yellow, for example, and then just go nuclear. Run at a couple of fools, set up on that top floor, clear them out, get top floor control, and then make a plant happen when you've got to establish what you need to work with. No book on side means they can't make the same play happen from below there, if you remember Palu being down in the basement. So a few things to reconsider, no doubt, and FaZe need to be the ones to read into that.
KDS is going to be the one to be inside of sight again. We saw that last time. Maya going to use the boogie drone to create a diversion while Lagonis goes in on the blitz straight into a goo mine though. So good setup from FaZe. They've got to be aware, and they are. KDS manages to cut one down. Handy taken out by Ness, but Souls is there for the trade. Maya picking up KDS along the way. 3 versus 3, but that could be sight clear here. There might be an opportunity for this diffuser to go down on the ground.
Again, if you want to make a play like that, or you're pushing in laterally, I'd rather you bring a Monty, because you've seen exactly what the problem is. The blitz can't fully cover himself, lost his life for it. They haven't got the vertical control. Souls will get put back on his feet, and now we're back where the round started, realistically, where Liquid have got to worry about this top floor. They can't make a plant happen without it.
At this point, no. Not in a 2 versus 3, so they're really going to have to reposition here, Resets and Palu, to see if they can find
This
somebody.
is the best chance they've got here, because it's such a narrow angle on the vertical. If they win this gunfight, then suddenly things are looking all good. You can see the player as well, knows what's going on. They see the plant going down. Managed to tuck themselves away here and make it work nicely, but Souls has got the lateral shot coming through. King put down on the vertical, but now he's got to worry about, okay, where's Cyber coming from? I know that Souls is around. He's found what he needs, but across towards your left man, it's simply not going to happen. A nice attempt, but FaZe will move up 4-1.
Again, really smart play from FaZe there. They knew that that plant was going down, but rather than overpeak it, rather than give Palu the opportunity to pick up that kill onto the vertical, they just waited, knowing that Souls was coming in. That was a conscious decision to say, we might just have to play this on the retake. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Instead of losing a man here, let's just wait until we're in a more powerful position. Souls rotates down, comes in with a huge kill, especially when Liquid are watching the vertical. It's a bit of a freebie for Souls to come in on the horizontal, find his man, and then they've got the advantage. It was still a good effort from Liquid to try and hold on. They almost did it, but Cyber just able to get in and get that final kill, drawing the Liquid tactical timeout as well.
I mean, we're staring at the tactical timeout screen off towards our right-hand side, and the main thing that I'm drawn to, Tim, as painful as it is, Lagonis and Palu, both 0 kills, 9 deaths combined. It's not that they've contributed nothing towards the game, but they are contributing very little, is the best way that I can describe it. Again, I could look back at that round and mention about the blitz. I really thought they wanted to make a top floor take happen. Twice now they've tried to force it to come through on the ground floor itself. Twice they've got the diffuser down to give them full credit, but both times they've then gone on to lose the round. Yes, one was off the back of a big handy play, but again, that's why I prefer a Monty in that kind of situation. So there's a small misread there, and maybe not quite the most optimal use case, I feel, for the comp that they had. They tried, they almost got away with it, but FaZe are giving them nothing. Liquid's last attack to come in here, otherwise they're down 5-1, and my God, you best hope they get it after that tank timeout.
They desperately need it, is the reality. I honestly think 5-1, I'm not going to say it's not possible to come back from, we just saw it in the last game. But I am going to say it's rare. It's even rarer against a side like FaZe. You know, they are going to more than likely lock it out at that point. If they go 5-1, they only need to find one site that they can successfully attack, pick up those 2 rounds, and they get the job done. So it's an essential round for me for Liquid. I'm usually looking towards round 8 or 9 for those real pivotal moments, but this time it's definitely round 6. Liquid need to get this done.
I just also feel like we can't ignore our last map. We were, like Haran and Horim, and it was 5-1, 5-0 over to PSG Talon, and look what happened there. The game went all the way to 15 in the end. So don't quite count the side of Liquid out yet. Things could change drastically. FaZe might absolutely suck on the attack. We'll find out once the game concludes. For now, at least, though, again, Lagonis, a player I mentioned that hasn't really found his role in the game just yet. Him and Palu, 0 and 9 between the two of them. This is where you've got to have an impact, boys. Like, you can't keep running at that kind of pace.
Yeah, it's definitely time. Nesk, one way or another, has been involved in every single opening kill, apart from round 5. 4 of them, he's either got the entry or been at the entry death. So, will he be a little bit more reserved this time or not? That's going to be the question. It is a top floor attack. Again, we saw last time out, Liquid did a great job of it. Ticked all the boxes, got all the ground that they needed and no more, and were able to go in and get the plant down. They won't get away with it quite the same this time. That's actually clever from Nesk. He's deployed the track stingers to prevent the plant coming up yellow, but I think he's also done it at the time that he was going to drop, just to try and cover that sound. So it could be that FaZe are not quite aware of anybody at the top of yellow yet.
At least not yet. But
I think Souls is. I think Souls is.
On the flick around, yeah, all the expectation is coming in straight away. You can hear, for example, a Candela coming out. You know, a smoke has gone down. More trying to draw a response out of the side of FaZe, I'd imagine. But so far, Tim, it's musical statues inside here. They ain't moving nowhere. Just waiting to see what's going to happen. Liquid, got to try again. This time around, they maybe actually pull the trigger.
Yeah, I'm just not sure that Liquid have got enough control here. I'm not sure that they've got quite enough to be able to go in and put this diffuser down. Lagonis is going to try it, but there's going to be nobody there to cover him. The push comes in. Souls gets one, but doesn't realise that he's backed up as Nesk manages to walk in and find a double. That's going to leave them 4 versus 2 as another kill comes in. There could be an opportunity potentially for Lagonis here. Vitaking and Cyber have been pushed back deep into sight. Cyber taken out, and it leaves it all for Vitaking to do 1v3.
Got himself dug in, has managed to find one. The other line, Yellow's, and by the way, what's going on there? Smoke comes out, but I was going to say the round would have come in from Yellow. A scrappy round, but Liquid get it done, Tim. They find that second round, and that's a healthy bit of padding going into the second half.
Unfortunate time in there for Vitaking, just choosing to throw that toxic babe canister and cut off one of the approaches to his position. But as is always the case in Siege, at least for me anyway, as he steps around the corner with it in his hand, he's being peaked at that moment. So, as I said, an essential win round for Liquid in my books, and they managed to get exactly that done, bringing us now to 4 versus 2 on the scoreboard and heading into the second half. And this is really the big question moment, Des. It always is, but how are FaZe going to do on the attack? Is it going to be as dominant as it has been through the defense, or are Liquid able to find some momentum now? They've chosen to go up to the top floor to kick things off, whereas the basement was the primary choice for FaZe, so a slightly different approach here from Liquid, and another really important round coming up. If Liquid get this one done, and they're only 1 round different, you look at that and think, you know what? You've actually held on there. You've come away from that first half okay.
I don't think it's in the world, no, I do agree, although it did feel like FaZe for the most part were extremely dominant. Look back, of course, at the 1 round when it came down to the massive handy play. I think FaZe have been, without a doubt, the stronger team. So I won't say count your lucky stars in this case, but you have got a game in front of you now that you're going to have to do really well, at least in the second half. As mentioned, though, FaZe themselves could completely crumble on the attack or run away with things, Tim. It's hard to call, given it's still only the first day as things have stepped forward. Now, looking at the comp that they've got, every time we see a Ying, I'm always saying it's the execute operator. Same can be said for the Capital. The pair of them coming along here really just screams to me that we're going to see a lot of smoke, a lot of, well, I was going to say smoke, fire, and brimstone. Close enough for the first 2, most definitely. So look towards Vitaking, look towards Souls. Where they find themselves set up will be really pivotal, because that will let you know where the action is going to take place.
Stepping up to potentially try and get this meeting wall open, but he's going to need a little bit of support there. There isn't any EMPs on side, so it's going to be up to the book. Cyber just going underneath, and we'll do exactly that. Ooh, I like that.
If he waited like half a second, he probably gets Lagonis there.
Yeah, so the nade went in. The way that they cleared the electricity off is a nade went in from the connector window. There is a little gap above the wall, so the nade goes in to clear off the electricity behind, and then Cyber, instead of going for the electricity, tries to find the man who's in there looking for a bandit trick. Really smart play from FaZe there, but just didn't work out for them. I love to see it though. Great team play. Yeah,
like I say, if they hang on half a second, I think they find Lagonis there for free, as he was so desperate to get in and get the trick off, but things happen. Either way, that meeting wall's open up. That's one challenge in this round they've worked their way through. They've also now got to worry about what's going on inside of this central corridor, where you've got Nesk at the Azami sat right at the top of it, playing in behind this Kiba barrier. That's a problem too. So again, just constant little obstacles being put up here for the most part by the side of Liquid. And he manages to get away safely here whilst burning a little bit of time, a little bit of attention, because we're down towards that last 60, Tim, and they're not looking too close to getting the execute off yet.
No, not at all. Nesk's got a number of Kiba barricades as well.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate, just wanting a bit better cover than that, but still manages to find what he wants there with the second one. And right now, Liquid can just hold the line.
Boy.
Lagonis going on a long flank attempt here, going all the way around. I'm not sure if he's looking for a nitro potentially or looking to maybe get up Spiral, but we'll keep our eyes on him. Palu manages to pick up Cyber. Look at that, double from Ness, just bringing it to 5 versus 2, and it's almost certainly done here. 30 seconds left to go. Lagonis does get picked up and FaZe are fighting back, but it's all up to Souls. A 1 versus 3, one of the most clutch players in all of Siege, but it's going to have to be a big effort from him with only 25 seconds to go.
Doesn't have the diffuser in hand either, so with 20 seconds to go, he's really got to fight his way through 3 players that I just don't think he's going to be given. They will try and Candela off through the room here as well and make his push across what will be a default spot if he had the diffuser in hand, but as you can see, it's across the other side of the map. Going to be given nothing. Palu taking him out, and Tim, 2 halves to a game of Siege. It begins because now we're sat at 4 and 3.
Yeah, this is what I said coming into, you know, the end of that first half when it was, you know, sort of 4-1. You look at it and you think FaZe are on top of things here. Liquid, you know, can be thinking that things aren't going particularly well for them, but those last 2 rounds that they've managed to win have been huge for them because now they feel like despite FaZe's best efforts, they're still in it. They're keeping pace with them. They're back within 1 round. If they can lock down their second choice defensive site now, you're looking at it straight away thinking, well, this could be overtime. It could be even better for Liquid.
Just an update on the game on the other stream as well. BDS are up 6 and 5. They've found the entry in this potential final round for them in round 12 and could well see themselves securing that win to go up to 1 and 1. It still feels weird to say that BDS were down here in that 0 and 1 bracket, but the game against Fury did that for them.
Round 8 then. We're going to have a Liquid continuing to try and keep this momentum going. They've just successfully held on to the top floor. And I think this time they are moving into the bottom floor. Or is it Piano X position?
Piano X.
It's Piano X position. They're not going to go all the way down just yet. So again, much like FaZe did, they're going to be looking to hold on to that top floor. You can see bodies up there, 4 at the minute, with just 1 underneath on site. It's a little bit of a tricky one really, Des, because, you know, as we saw when Liquid were attacking, there are spaces that you can get into here to plant, so it does put a lot of pressure on your player that's in sight, which is Lagonis in this case.
It does, yeah. I mean, this is what we spoke about back in that first half, right? That one player needs to be removed at some point. It hasn't got to be immediately, especially if you want to hit the top floor first and try and clear out the defenders who are up there. But knowing that he is alone means, like we saw back in that first half, getting into garage below, making use of a buck to open things up from below can be a really good play. No buck on side. I can't really imagine using the Ram shotgun is going to be a great alternative, to be honest. So if nothing else, either it's going to be that direct rushing towards site and hitting people on the way through. No smokes to plant behind. So for me, Tim, it feels like top floor control is on their agenda.
Maya needs to be careful here because there is a player upside down rappel on that CEO window. We'll know that now with the bees coming in from the Grim. Just trying to prevent that movement around towards that window. And there comes the drop from Cyber into the top of Yellow. Going to actually head down rather than up. Looking to potentially find Lagonis inside here. They're aware that there's only one there. They're all alone. And as we've seen a couple of times, it is possible to go in there and grab a bit of ground.
It's one of those now where I'm just starting to think, okay then, we've got halfway through the round, we've not seen the big move. I say, as I go to say, it's a Castica, so there's no big plays made yet, and then suddenly everything just springs to life. A couple of kills back for Liquid, who once again find themselves up with the massive numbers advantage. And to give them a big shout out, Tim, Nesk has been unstoppable so far on this map.
Oh, 12 and 5 is absolutely flying, and you just feel like it's, you know, maybe what Liquid needs at the minute to carry them through a couple of maps, get them a couple of wins on the board, and then go from there. Plant is going to be going down though. Souls just trying to tease that one a little bit. Does exactly that. Bitch resets into the challenge down the hatch and then is able to pick up the kill. Will he relocate and try and put the diffuser down? That's the question. There's plenty of time for him to work with, but Piano is not the site to try and put it down if he wants to, really. the better spots are in Exposition if you're trying to avoid those verticals.
The thing is, there can be so many in Expo, and they're really long sight line to the entirety of the room as well, which is larger than what you see inside a piano, so there's no ideal here. It's why, like I said, I thought we'd see a big push in towards this top floor. Sure, you can get rid of it the second time, mate, don't worry. And as you can see, all these holes scattered above him as well is going to make this risky. Handy cannot afford to die here as well. Best thing he can really do is make sure this is locked off. Chuck a drone at his feet, for example, have someone watch the angle for him, but has pushed in and found the kill. But Souls here knows that he can't make a play without some assistance first. Will he find one? No! Ness gone to a third, and Souls with it all to do by himself knows that he hasn't got the time, hasn't got the resource to make this happen, and by the looks of it, Liquid are going to give nothing over. The vertical is there. Palu gets the close. The classic old school duo coming back together to make things happen.
Souls was a little bit unfortunate there. Absolutely piling shots into Palu above, but you could just hear the metallic ting as the bullets were hitting those girders through the floor and just preventing that final shot finding Palu that Souls needed. If he finds that onto the Soulless, things might have just gone a little bit differently there. But 3 rounds in a row for Liquid, bring them back level at 4-4. They are well and truly back into this one, so much so that FaZe decide it's time to pull that tactical timeout trigger and just have a little bit of a break.
Well, not forgetting it was 4-1 to the side of FaZe, right? And it is only since that tactical timeout that Liquid called themselves after 5 rounds that we've now seen them swing, as you say, 3 rounds back into it. Looking difficult here, and for FaZe, understandably. We said there's 2 halves to a game of Siege, and they really have not got themselves on firing on all cylinders here on their attacking side.
Hugsword, of course, having the opportunity to speak to the Liquid players as well. So we'll see which team comes out the better for that little break. FaZe certainly needed the reset here. They need to, find something on the attack because this next round is particularly important. On the attack, they're now looking to get a minimum of 2 rounds to take them into overtime. So going to the split site here, if Liquid can hold on to Teller's archives, it puts them in a serious advantage over FaZe because they go on to 5 rounds and then they're able to go to CEO, they're able to go to Piano and Exposition again, them 2 sites that they've won. They're able to go to Basement if they want to, which we know is a strong site here on Consulate as well. So this is a real pivotal moment for this game.
The big one is they now know that they're not going into the basement, which is where you'd expect to go, so I would assume we'll see a couple of changes coming out here. Looks to be the case. 3 players moving off of their operators and instead over onto alternatives to try and make this push happen. The Ying is going to stick, not at all surprised, as we all know. Incredibly impressive as an operator when it comes around to the execute. But what you're seeing coming out, looking on the defensive side on their actual setup, is, as you'd also expect for this site, not really playing anyone on the ground floor site. Everyone's playing below. They've got 3 C4s to work in behind. They've got the Soulless to see when they've got the diffuser going down so they can spray through the floor as well. So it's very much quite a dug-in deep sort of setup that you expect to see coming out of Liquid, which then invites a secret push, or a blue push as you might sometimes hear it called, through the single wall in the back stairs and working towards the east side of the map. When they get inside of there, that's where things like a Monty normally become really effective. That's when you can start doing some damage and that vertical control suddenly becomes nothing. That is exactly, though, why Lagonis has electrified this off to try and stop them coming in. And my main concern, Tim, is they have no hard breach at all. I'm sure my eyes don't deceive me, but they will not be able to get this secret wall opened up as they have no hard breach at all. They've got the Thatcher, but that's it. Was this a mistake by Souls, maybe, not bringing along the can openers?
Well, you've got to wonder because, if you're not going to bring the hard breach and you've got the IQ, why bring the Thatcher? It's not the only use that Thatcher has to support the hard breaches, but it is the primary one. Yes, you can do a couple of other bits, but there's no warden on side. You're not going to look at disabling his glasses, for example. So yeah, little curiosity there.
It will disable the Soulless is the most important part, and that's what I think they're looking for. But again, with not even any 10 openers on side, what worries me is it limits their options.
Yeah.
They're basically sworn into trying to make a push on the ground floor work, unless they can pull out something real special to hit downstairs. But I'm not convinced they will, and given the position of all of these players, it does look like this ground floor hit is going to be the thing.
Yep, not too sure about it, but we'll see how it pans out. For the time being, Cyber is looking to find another kill. They did manage to pick up Palu along the way, so that's the Soulless gone, and they're just using that IQ now, ping out any other gadgetry, and just trying to posture and position, try and get themselves into a spot where they can start thinking about getting a plant down potentially here. KDS is very low health, so that's something that needs to be factored. They still haven't dealt with the man up on the top floor, and I'm wondering if they know about his location or not.
I mean, this is the bit of a new one, admittedly, making it C4 to open up the floor rather than deny it. And all you've really done there is invited an absolute freebie. Is that another C4 coming up? Tim, they're out of C4s. Like, that's your main denial tactic, and you've let it go. What the hell is happening?
Cyber's getting the plant down as well. The cover is there. KDS finding resets. Handy onto Ness. It's all over for the round as Souls managed to pick up Lagonis, and that was a great attack from FaZe. We asked questions. We wondered exactly what the plan was going to be, but they certainly had one in mind. They get the job done in round 9. 5-4 they find themselves now. It was an important round because it at least gives them that comfort of potentially heading towards overtime if Liquid are now able to keep a hold of their 2 primary site choices, which is going to be console again. They're going up to that top floor, and then it'll likely be piano and exposition again. I'd be interested to see if Liquid win these next 2 rounds and they have that opportunity at 3rd choice site again. Do they go to the split site, or will they go to Garage? I think it'll probably be Garage next time around, because they weren't even really kind of close to holding that.
And again, we're having a break because there's a water spillage. It happens at least once an event. It's classic.
Yeah, it definitely does. We always see it. I can't remember the. I can't remember the player. We saw a player.
Someone spilled it over the keyboard.
Over the keyboard,
yeah.
It was everywhere. I get a feeling it might have been SSG. I've got SSG in mind for some reason.
It wouldn't surprise you how nuts they go when they win a round.
I could be wrong, and I apologise to SSG if it wasn't you who threw water over your keyboard in the previous tournament. But I get the feeling that it might have been. But we'll just get this one resolved. I think it's pretty much sorted now, and we should be good to get back into things. But yeah, FaZe 5-4 at the minute, just managing to stop a run of 3 rounds in a row from Liquid. And I think the more important thing is, yes, winning the 3rd site was very important for them, but I think it's also just about stopping that momentum for Liquid as well. You know, they can be. Lately, it seems more of a little, you know, confidence-based team. Like, for example, Palu just struggling here against FaZe, not really getting himself going. He's managed to find 5 kills now, which is certainly picking the pace up a little bit for him. But Neska's been quiet over the last couple of rounds as well. We picked up on him. He was at 12 kills, I think, when we picked it up. He's now only 13, so Liquid just need to make sure that they're facilitating those players and getting them into these rounds. I
mean, to me, again, I'm still a bit baffled by that previous round, that you have 3 C4s you can play behind.
It's one I'll definitely watch back.
You don't get a single C4 kill. You have someone use them above to open a vertical, question mark, and then die from it. And I'm just like, this was free. They had no heartbreaks. They had only one option. Of course, they didn't know that, but again, perplexed. I will probably also watch it back and find out exactly what went wrong there, because that's the kind of round that Liquid should be winning, you know, 9 times out of 10 easily. But fair play, FaZe got it done. Tac timeout buff is still a thing.
Into the action phase we go then. FaZe have the Ying on side, have the Book on side. This one screams to me the potential of a CEO plant. Just going to open up that wall at the top and at the bottom. So just offering maybe a little bit of phantom pressure. I expect Vita King to move away from there, which he will. But actually saying that, the Book is over on the admin side of things. So I don't think we are going to see the CEO attempt, because FaZe are all stacking up over this side. So it could be a little push into Meeting instead. There is a really nice plant spot inside a Meeting, to be fair. As soon as you go in through the door, you've got like a half wall in front of you directly. If you can plant inside of that corner, it's actually really well covered. There's not a lot of angles that you need to deal with. It's more the swing from long desk and sort of, you know, spiral area. But look at this, Nesk hidden away on the Goyo, and I don't think he's been picked up.
Don't think he has. This is where you have the Warden, though. He then draws the attention of drones, of players. Of course, has the ability to shoot drones out as well. If Nesk can stay in tucked tight and then keep this denied away, he could be a bit of an X factor for them. They still don't know that he's here. They don't know it's a thing. But now that Palu's looking to back away, this is where Nessa's got to be very careful. If there is any drone that might just sniff him out, even for a second, it can be all over, as you're pretty exposed in that position as soon as you try and run back towards that central hallway. Yeah,
I'm really wondering whether they're aware of his position or not. Handy goes in, doesn't look in that direction, doesn't check, continues on through. Nesk remains hidden, remains safe. He just needs to stay patient here, and with the drones going through, he's going to know that the push is going to come from this side. The question is whether they come through Copy or not. Do they just work through Coffin instead, which is where IQ is located at the minute, and potentially they might actually just bypass Nesk a little bit here, but even if they do, he can still come through on the flank and really hurt them.
I still don't know at this point as well. He might find himself a couple of kills if this carries on. Must know now. There is one in front, and sure enough, shot straight in the back and rounds himself in towards admin. They're panic stations for FaZe because they now can't execute despite when it looked like they had such good positional advantage. And they've got to recover this somehow. KDS also a little bit isolated, but where is Ness? Can they find him?
Well, that's it. It's really smart from Ness to move into admin because they can't ignore him. They can't leave him. He probably could have just kept himself actually a little bit more stationary there. Decides to relocate and is going to get picked up. But it leaves 20 seconds now for them to try and get a plant down. There's still a Toxic Babe canister left. We're going to see the fire canisters coming in from Lagonis on the Tachanka as well, but Vitaking is able to use that plant spot that I spoke about, Des. He's able to get it down, and that's a big misstep from Liquid if they're not able to get the retake here. They managed to find the trade and take Cyber down, but it's still 2v3. KDS and Vitaking just trying to hold on.
All they'll be able to do enough is the real big one, to be fair, Tim. They've got enough that they've got the longer angles. They know someone's coming up Spiral as well. A good read on this one. Sees his man, and honestly, it's a freebie. What a second shot. I was going to say, Lagonis is chalked, and KDS, he is the difference. 6 and 4 for FaZe.
What a triple from KDS at the end there. Absolutely beautiful. The first one onto Palu was routine. He had the info. He knew he was coming. But that second flick down long desk was just an absolute beauty. And as you say, that really breaks the back of this Liquid defense now because it's one of their primary sites taken. And honestly, Des, they should have won it. Ness pops up. He stays off the radar. He gets his man. He keeps himself in admin. And he's just a constant problem. Until Nesk is dead, it's like playing with a wasp in the room. You just can't focus on what you want to do because he's going to just pop up and sting you at some point. But Ness goes for the relocate, gets taken out, and it gives FaZe that little bit of space. And even with the smoke canister, even with the Tachanka fire canisters, you gotta say that they have to deny that plant. But the shots weren't good enough, the aim wasn't there. And Vitaking just found that little bit of space in by the wall to get the diffuser down. Really well played from him.
It's a game that keeps on delivering. After both teams have had their attack timeouts, they haven't stopped winning rounds until we've had the other timeout come through. And now FaZe have won 2 back-to-back despite crumbling for those first couple of defensive rounds. Or sorry, first couple of attacking rounds. And now they look ready to get this one closed out. Yeah, sure, Ness did a little bit of damage, but they managed to control him well. He got the one. They managed to secure him about 20 seconds later. So it wasn't like he was the reason they won the round there. That privilege all goes towards KDS. They've been very quiet in the game so far, as you can see. It's 6 and 6 now. 3 and 6 before he comes out with a nuclear play like that in the previous. And again, I just worry for Liquid here. Will they be able to bounce back? Can they have 2 more rounds on the board? I don't really think they can, Tim.
I agree. I don't think they've got it in them. I think that attacking round from FaZe might have just broken the mental a little bit here. You know, we'll see as the round goes on, but this is going to be very tough because FaZe are one of those teams, you know, there's blood in the water and they're aware of it, and they're going to go in and look to ruthlessly finish this off. I feel like maybe a very decisive round. If Liquid can get this done, they can definitely take it to overtime because, again, it just sort of bucks that trend a little bit. It sends them back into a primary site choice, and they can go again, they can try again, but I'm just not sure that they stand up to FaZe now.
No, obviously the focus here on that downstairs. You did say you might see us change over towards that instead, and that's exactly where we're heading to for what could be our final round here. In round 11, Palu being found out by KDS, who keeps it going. And the thing is, Tim, that's one of the easiest kills in the book. Seen on Handy's drone, runs up Spiral. Oh, there's someone on Spotlight. I guess I'm dead.
Yep, gets taken out, and that is not a good start for them. Cyber battling with one inside of Exposition as well. Just trying to get himself into main lobby for the time being, but just going to hold in case that peak comes around the corner. He's not in any rush at the moment, but with 1 minute 15 left to go, time is a factor for FaZe. They can't go forever, but I thought that Handy was going to win that one out, but Maya manages to strafe around the corner, takes a ton of damage in doing so, but is going to be more than happy to bring things back to 4-4.
Doesn't look like Maya should have won that gunfight, does it?
No, not at all. It was they were aware that he was coming down. There was no pre-fire coming out of Handy, which is a little bit unusual, and he's going to be kicking himself for that one. 45 seconds left to go, and FaZe haven't created any space inside a site yet.
Not yet, no. Still, it's that 1-for-1 between the two, so it's not like the end of the world, but my worry is, Tim, we're down to the last 30 seconds or so. They've got to make a move sooner for FaZe. As you get down towards the dying few seconds, that clock becomes the 6th man for the other side. Lagonis on the backside. Will he find the first kill in this game? No, he won't. He is a punching bag for the other side. A 3 versus 3 and 20 to go. Inside of sight they may be, but Liquid are standing strong at least for now. It's another trade coming back through. Vidaking onto 2. It's 2v2, Tim. 10 seconds to go.
Who knows which way this goes? Vidaking just trying to move in. He's got a little bit of intel. Can get the diffuser down here potentially, but no. Ness manages to pick up souls, means he has to go for the fight. 3 seconds. No choice but to stick this, but it's the Soulless above, and he knows that he is going to get stopped if he tries to hold that, and so just comes off, and we find Liquid taking us to 12. They manage to hold on to that 3rd choice. Going to Garage for the first time was a smart choice. They get the job done, and this could deliver just a few more rounds of entertainment yet, Des.
Normally in those situations, I'll be the first to say, you know, pros don't fake, hold F. You don't know if the other player's going to mess things up. He knew that it was the Soulless playing above. What he did do is come off, and with about a second to go, also pre-fired on towards yellow. I forget what game it was we saw, whether it was in the regular stage or back at SI where a player did that and finds his man. It was in Cafe, basement downstairs defense. I can't fully remember exactly what happened, but someone comes running in. In fact, no, it was the Aussies. I think it was Xenox casting at the time. You recall the player with like a second left, thought, oh, I'm going to kill this guy. The guy comes off the diffuser with that half a second left, gets him, and it's like, what are you doing, man? Like, are you crazy? And so what he's done there is said, okay, well, I got the first kill over towards Garage, which means probably fair chance the second man's going to come pulling back in from yellow. He'll come down yellow, he'll join up with his teammate. So he's come off and pre-fired on towards that on the off chance that he does manage to catch his man. The Soulless, though, not giving anything away, but at least I appreciate the attempt there of what he was looking for. It wasn't a pure KD save, as we're so used to some players doing.
No, absolutely not. He's hoping that he just catches a stray bullet almost onto that. You never know what is going to happen. You got to shoot your shot if you want to hit it. You definitely miss it if you don't. So we're going to have Piano and Exposition being that final hold for Team Liquid. They have to get this to take us into overtime. They're going to be holding on to the top floor again. Lagonis inside his side. He's going to have the goo mines of the Legion to try and play behind.
A lot more to worry about than that, I'm afraid, in this round. At this point, Lagonis is like, how can I do any kind of damage in this game? How can I contribute towards my team? Goo mines will at least be part of the way there. He has had a few unlucky gunfights he's run into. For example, KDS's pre-fire when he got that 3K a couple of rounds ago, a wonderful example. But Tim will go towards another overtime here. I've only really just thought about it again. Can Liquid get it over the line? Christ, it's been a long day. We're at 11:30 now.
I've got a sneaking suspicion that it might not get any shorter.
No.
Right, Cyber's going to be in on the Nomad then, just deploying the air jabs for the time being, prevent any potential flanks coming through. May suggest that he's just going to try and work sort of laterally towards site and not worry too much about that top floor. Basically, they're trying to stop any flank coming in towards Lounge. They've got Vidaking in there already. He's going to open up into site. So this could well be another one of those attempts at a plant without a complete top floor clearance here. You know, just looking to get that access to site, maybe take down Lagonis. We've seen a few teams try it. We saw RTB do it successfully. You know, you can create that space, especially if you've got a bit of utility. They've got the smokes on the Twitch. They managed to get the opener that they will want onto Lagonis. Sight is potentially theirs.
0 and 10. Man, he's going to be feeling this one in the morning. It real stings as well, knowing that your teammates, like Nesk especially, are really putting up numbers. And all you're really doing in the game is detracting from that. You're really making it hard for the team to rely on you to be able to win out these gunfights. And I feel for him. Lagonis has had some wonderful games, but today really is not his day. And that could be what costs his team the game.
Just going to be spotting out the Valkyrie cam, takes it down, and that's going to be at least a little bit less information. They just need to win one or two of these vertical fights, but they're not going to be able to as Maya takes down Vidaking. Cyber elsewhere, finding Nestor Souls. Maybe missing his opportunity, but KDS and Handy are there. It's all up to Palu, 1v4, 1v3, cannot do any more as FaZe will take the win in regulation. It's 7-5, it's not been easy for them, Des, but they get the job done.
Not easy for either side, Tim. A real battle from start to finish between these two teams, I feel. But FaZe, when it really counted, just had that little bit extra in the tank, and that last round alone, you know, Lagonis 0 and 10, Souls missing a freebie onto the ward, and those are the moments they'll look back on, and it will haunt them because those are the moments that will make a difference in rounds and ultimately in games. 0 and 2 they go, and FaZe at least recover a little bit of form, going 1 and 1.
Yeah, I mean, looking at FaZe there, and you know, their sort of place in the tournament as a whole, 1 and 1. Yeah, they've had a tough game there against Liquid. I think that was always going to be a tough game for FaZe, always going to be a tough game for Liquid, simply because the teams know each other so well. Individually as players, as teams as a whole, they've played each other so many times. It's never going to be a walk in the park, realistically. You're going to come in there, you're going to be pushed the distance. So looking at that, I think I still really like FaZe as a good team, as one of the top teams in this tournament, and I think they're probably going to show us that tomorrow when we see them play again.
Well, that's 38 games these teams have now played against each other. 19 to Liquid, 18 to FaZe, and 1 draw from back in 2020. Back when that was the thing in the game, of course. That rivalry continues.
I think I cast that game.
I probably did back in the day.
I did.
It's just crazy thinking about it and looking back again at how over time these teams, despite the many various iterations of rosters, how close they stayed to each other.
Yeah, it really is. You know, what a performance from both of them. They've both had the moments there. I think, you know, I don't like to call players out. I think Liquid have been a team of sort of almost 2 teams there. You know, you've had Ness going really big. He's had some huge moments there. Yeah. Resets and Meyer have kind of chipped in as well. Paolo and Lagonis, unfortunately, you know, we've got to say, having really quiet games there. Yeah, you can see what I'm saying there. 7, 8 and 15 across those top 3, and then 6 kills between Paolo and Lagonis. You know,
I was going to touch on it. I think about round 10, I was going to mention it. The difference was like 7 kills was the lowest and 9 was the highest on the other side of FaZe.
Yeah.
And even towards the end of the game, it stayed the same. Lowest is 8 kills, highest is 11. Like,
that's my point. Everybody's involved.
What more do you want than a perfect example of a team game? Yes, we had Handy getting KDS getting a big 3K. We had a couple of Bitter King multi-kills in there as well. But everyone has really played their part throughout, and that, for me at least, is what makes it the most impressive.
Yeah, fantastic stuff from FaZe. We can see there, and this is why I say that they're a top team at the tournament. This is what makes them so dangerous, is that everybody can get involved. Everybody has their moments, and it's like that constantly, and it must make it very difficult to play against them because, you know, you can spot somebody in the map and you can think, yeah, we're going to go in and try and take that ground. We're going to go and try and do that. But you're always coming up against a difficult fight. It's never that you can single somebody out and say, oh, it's their support, then maybe not as good on the gunfights. Yeah, but let's go and get that done easily. It's just not a thing against FaZe. What, you're going to go against their support, Souls, who's top fragged nearly? Like, you just can't, you know, you can't do it.
Well, what a day we've had, Tim. From start through to finish, I think there's been a number of surprises throughout as well. Yeah, we look back at like Bliss, Bleed, for example, set up there at 2 and 0. No one would have predicted that. I think coming into the start of the day, you'd have put teams like BDS and Furia and FaZe up there at the very top, but as with all things Siege, it very rarely turns out the way that we anticipate, hey?
Yep, exactly that. It's so difficult to predict how these things are going to go, and that's the beauty of it, particularly the beauty of Swiss FaZe. You know, there's all sorts of surprises in there. And
the real beauty, of course, is tomorrow the best of 3s begin. Teams start getting sent home. We've only been here a day, and already they're going to find themselves out if they go 0 and 3. Reminder again, promotion matches and elimination matches are always 3 maps. So for those that go 2 and 0, or those that are 0 and 2, tomorrow starts to get stressful, but for us, that of course is fantastic to see. That's all done for today though. The A stream and the B stream are complete. We hope you've enjoyed it with us. Tomorrow back at 1 PM for more games. It's going to be incredible, and the Manchester Major is only really truly just getting underway. Have a good night and see you tomorrow.